In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
Welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
This is Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about, this is kind of Mike's topic that he brought to the table. So explain, what are we talking about, Mike?
I guess kind of, I've got a bit of a point that I'm getting at, but I do have a little story of something that I learned of. I actually watched the YouTube video yesterday. I'm going to have to give credit to a guy named Matt Pat. He goes by Matt Pat on YouTube. He actually runs a channel called The Game Theorists.
Okay, so this is a video game guy?
This is kind of actually what he does. The guy actually does, I believe he's part of marketing and analytics for YouTube, the company themselves.
Oh, okay.
He's like really big into it, but he does game theories, he does film theories, and some of his biggest stuff is like he basically puts together all of these fan theories based on like the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise and like all this kind of stuff where he starts piecing together the pieces from the story from different games and like he starts building the universe and all this kind of stuff and all that. But basically, this guy had a bit more serious a tone going
with this video.
The one that I watched yesterday. So big credit to Matt Pat and Game Theory on this one. The video I watched, I'll just say what it is, and we'll also link it on the website.
Yeah, so that we can give proper
YouTube.
Credit.
Yeah, it's called YouTube is Ruining Gaming.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I got it sounds like a pretty clickbaity kind of title.
Yeah, that's something. It's something that you'd see on Facebook or something that your grandmother might share. But in fact, and you're thinking, oh, this has got to be garbage. This is some kind of stupid theory about whatever. But this is a guy that does marketing for them.
Yes.
This is a guy that comes up with theories. So this has maybe much more of a ring of truth to it and facts to it than anything else.
Very much so. Basically, so Matt Pat is known as a YouTuber, and YouTubers specifically are pretty much content creators for YouTube. They're independent people. So if you consider YouTube, which is a viewership platform, it's like Netflix or like cable channels or it's television. It's basically modern day television
in a sense. Although I mean, who's gonna let guys like you and me put our stuff on HBO? Nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Nobody's that crazy.
It gives you a little bit more openness than what any of those other platforms do.
And essentially, that's actually what YouTube started out as. It was you put your videos online. People will watch them, and who knows, if you're viewed enough, if you're popular enough, YouTube eventually kind of, when they were purchased by Google, they kind of did this like full force where Google started working along with advertisers and companies trying to advertise their products. And what they would do is, depending on how many videos got views or certain channels that got large amounts of views, what would they do? They'd throw ads onto the video, and then they would pay those content creators, much like you pay a television station.
Boy, would it be nice if people were watching us enough to get us to have pay. That would be awesome. Interesting side note.
Yeah, totally.
I do want to share hopefully the little piece of trivia that I know. Do you know why they started YouTube?
Why it was started specifically?
Yeah, the one thing that was kind of the impetus for the guys that started it to get it started.
It is somewhat of a social networking type.
No, there was actually a very specific event that happened.
Oh,
a huge kind of media event that happened.
No, what
was
it?
Kind of part of the inspiration of it. At least this is the story that I've heard. This is the legend that I've heard about it.
The legend of YouTube.
Yes, the infamous Super Bowl halftime show with Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, wherein her breast was exposed.
Right.
This guy apparently missed seeing it and was searching the internet trying to find video of it. And that apparently helped to inspire the idea to create this website.
That didn't start Pornhub?
Dude, I saw it happen in real time. She had a pasty over her nipple. You didn't see much of anything.
I know, but that's still just like, dude, like you're really that's what it was about. YouTube was started because somebody wanted to see Justin Timberlake expose Janet Jackson's boobies.
Well,
one of them.
I mean, it was a huge it was a huge media event at the time. It was big.
Well, yeah, it was all over the flipping news.
I remember. I mean,
all you had to do was turn on the news the next day or listen to Chris Rock talking about it during stand-up. Like, it was everywhere.
Well, but they censored it on the news. He was looking for a raw video of it, and he couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay. I can understand that, but it's like, okay.
He had that Rhythm Nation feeling in him. You know what I'm saying? He wants to call her Miss Jackson.
I haven't.
Because he's naughty or nasty. He's a nasty boy. Right?
Yes. I'm sorry, man. I'm not that big on Janet Jackson's repertoire.
I only know a little bit. I'm probably going to get in trouble at home for that. But anyway, because I didn't, and not because I know that stuff, but because I probably made a mistake somewhere and I didn't get it right. And my wife, who does like, especially that era of Janet Jackson, is going to smack me and say, "Get it right. I thought I trained you better." But anyway.
Okay.
So back to this guy, this Matt Pat guy.
So basically, this guy has put out a video that basically I'll kind of go over the general steps of it.
Please.
Basically, what's going down is that YouTube is obviously one of the largest viewership platforms on the internet. It has been. It's been out for over 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it came out in like 2008 or 2007. Way back, right?
Yeah.
Now, there were people that were creating video content on their own websites to stream on their own websites or other types of networks. But there was not one centralized network where literally anybody could just load a video up from their phone because you barely had that, or you had the digital cameras way back in the day because camera phones weren't very reliable, maybe still images. But when it comes down to what YouTube was doing at the time, it was severely groundbreaking because it was a free viewership platform.
Yeah.
Right now, fast forward the next 10 years and YouTube's become a complete empire. Actually, this phenomenon has happened over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that I'm talking about specifically.
I mean, you can get on YouTube and watch videos and stuff now, but for certain content, you actually have to pay. And like, I don't think you can watch the Cobra.
Types.
There's like Cobra Kai, the series. You can't watch that unless you're.
You do. YouTube does have a membership-based section of their videos where they have certain types of videos that they make, and they advertise that they are available, and you can see the first like 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something, I think. But after that, you have to pay for. And they've also got movies, entire films that you can watch. They'll throw ads in it. That kind of stuff. Like you could see the original Terminator. It says free with ads on it. So you can watch that if you want to. It's funny because you can watch like the TV release and you can watch the extended original release too. That's kind of fun.
Who would want to watch the TV release?
I have no clue. Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. I have no idea.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's, this is, that's half the reason why I started looking up YouTube, because I wanted to see, like, this is what happens, Larry, when you find a stranger in the Alps. You know, that kind of thing. By the way, what I'm talking about is the dubbed censorship that happens.
Wow.
That was a quote from The Big Lebowski.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, the other one, Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon, is Die Hard at anybody that doesn't know that.
And it's the Big Lebowski one is so horrible because John Goodman is beating the crap out of a car at this moment. And what he says while he's beating the crap out of the car is fairly foul. Yeah. And the dubbing that they had to do over it for the TV release.
You find a stranger in the Alps.
Hilarious.
It's fantastic. If anybody has not seen those, you can look them up. They're just like redubs. You can find a bunch of them. They're fantastic. They're like the TV, like the network TV versions of these films that were dubbed back during post-production when they were setting them up before theatrical release. So these are great. But anyways, we're going off the cuff here. Basically, here's the thing about YouTube, the way that it works, okay? Yeah. In order for content creators to make money on this stuff, YouTube pays them ad revenue, okay? A viewer, you get enough. If you got 500,000 people, 100,000 people, and I'm talking, that's relatively large numbers. There's bigger ones, though.
Oh, yeah.
If you've got that amount of viewers, and they're watching your video umpteen thousand millions of times the day or the week within that you upload it.
Yeah.
What YouTube is going to do, because they have a priority to maintain viewership on their site and generate traffic and ad revenue, they're going to promote your video. They're more likely to promote your video because it's got viewership. So if something goes viral, what they're going to do is they're going to throw ads on it, thereby making them money, thereby making that content creator money. And on top of that, they're also going to push the viewership of that video. Okay, that's how YouTube works as a business platform.
So, for example, let me see if I can get this explained in terms that somebody like me, more of a layman in this situation, understands.
Okay.
So let's say you have, because we'll focus on something that multiple people can do.
Okay.
Video game watching, because I know you specifically watch a lot of people play through video games.
I do. It's fun, especially speedrunners, man. They blow me out sometimes.
If you have, let's say, 10 different people that all play the same level on this game,
Yeah.
on said game, game A, whatever it is. They all play the same level. They all do a speed run on this area of the game. Let's say it's this first 15 minutes of the game or whatever, first portion of the game. They're all doing the speed run.
Uh-huh.
If guy number one who does it, or gal number one, whichever, gets the most viewership, even though they're all doing the exact same thing, if I go and search for speed run on this game, that guy number one is going to be at the top of the list
Most
as
likely.
opposed to the other people.
Yeah,
because
most
they've
likely.
got more of the stuff. Well, that makes sense, because like when you Google stuff, you're
It's the
supposed to
top
get the
searched or the most,
top searched. Yeah,
exactly. You get the top searched because the reason why it's the top searched is when you search for something on Google, the top searched item, the one that matches the most hits to what you're searching, tends to be at the top underneath the sponsored ads.
The sponsored ad.
Yeah,
okay.
the sponsored ads. Okay, now
So
that's
even-
not something that we're talking about.
So on YouTube, it's going to be is there similarity to what's happening? What you're saying
I think there may be
YouTube?
something like that, but I doubt that there's anything like you don't necessarily strike a deal as a YouTube content creator with a specific company
sponsoring.
that I know of.
They just choose
when
it.
you do what you do in that situation is that company then gets a hold of you specifically and says, "Can you advertise for my product on your video itself?"
Yeah.
So you'll contain an ad in the video, and
Hey,
you actually mark that up when you load a video up. I've loaded some YouTube videos up.
Hey, any products that want to be endorsed by us, hit us up.
Totally.
We might do it. Just about anything.
Yeah.
There's only a few things that we won't endorse.
Yeah.
Nazi flags. We're not going to endorse those.
No, that's a bad one.
Anyway,
You shouldn't do that. Anyway, so what it comes down to is there is a somewhat complicated advertiser revenue platform that's involved in YouTube's promotion and the promotion of videos that tend to go viral.
Okay.
It kind of self-feeds. It feeds itself a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
makes sense.
That being said, the way that advertisement has been done over the last, let's say from about, well, in the entire time that they've been doing this advertiser stuff, okay, they didn't quite have much of a crackdown or a regulation on the way that ads come up. So I'll just to let you know, I'll watch a gaming video, right? And because I'm watching a gaming video, an ad pops up for whatever X game it's going to be, okay? But not the game that's in the video. An ad may pop up for a video game specifically, or it may pop up for the purple mattress, or it might pop up for Toyota, or when political season comes around, politician videos come up. It is and here's the crazy part, it is non-discerning most of the time. So if you're watching content for a gaming channel and this company that wants to throw this ad up to you doesn't know which way you lean politically, you're going to watch one specific senator or governor's election video or another one, and they have no clue. So now what they do in order to kind of allow that, if you want to skip the ad, they give you about 5 or 6 seconds sometimes, or if the ad is short enough, like maybe it's like 10 or 15 seconds, they'll just let it play through and it's not really that major of an inconvenience.
Although I will say that part of the inconvenience that I found in those ads when watching some of the videos is that they happen to come up right at the point of the video where you want to be paying attention.
Sometimes they do.
And that's really annoying. It's almost like
now that's another thing that they do is they change the way that their advertisements pop up in the video every once in a while. They change that algorithm. They're still trying to dial it in.
Well, I can see that, especially
and they're
for
trying to do it
gaming
automatically
videos.
without having to pay people specifically to go, okay, I've watched this video, you should put an ad here, you should put an ad here.
But that's the thing is with something like the gaming videos specifically, there are certain areas where if somebody's watching them, there's some people who are watching them to actually try to get the information on how to play that game themselves. And they can be right at the critical point that they need the information, and poof, the freaking ad pops up, and then you have to wait till the ad's over and hopefully remember where everything was and the steps that were already taken for the next set of steps. So that can be annoying.
It can be. Now, that being said, if you pay into the YouTube platform, you get the paid membership, you don't get ads.
Makes sense.
So that is somewhat of an incentive, and those content creators still get paid because you have paid into a membership.
Yeah.
So it is now you paying them rather than the advertisers paying for them.
Makes sense. The money has to come from somewhere.
Right. Now, that being said, YouTube takes a large portion of their viewership from free because they're a free platform, right?
Yeah.
So who pays the content creators? The advertisers do.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Up until about 2016, you would get kind of like randomized ads, but over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of very controversial stuff that's happened, especially being the fact that, case in point, YouTube more recently has cracked down on videos that promote, they promote hate speech or promote violence or promote those essential extremities. One of the things that they tend to crack down on is fringe channels. You know, not to throw things out here, and I'm not trying to.
You're not trying to get too political.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get political, but I'm going to throw it out there. Alex Jones would have been considered a fringe channel.
Yes, for sure.
It's a specific market he's going after, and I'm not trying to crack down on the guy or anything. I'm just saying that it's a certain market.
Sadly,
That's
at this,
all.
well, I wouldn't say sadly, but at this moment in time, we are seeing, because of some of the political climate in this country and some of the unrest as a result, we are seeing a lot more of that, of the violent fringe people becoming more active and more vocal about things. And that's being maybe scary and problematic for a lot of people. And I can understand a company not wanting to have too much connection to that. I mean, we're just you and me sitting in a room talking about stuff, and we're careful how we tread on that. Imagine if we were a multi-billion-dollar company, we want to be even more careful how we tread with that.
Exactly. Well, case in point. Okay, so one of the biggest, just to kind of throw some more in there. So a lot of these things like hate speech, violence, certain types of strong language.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? Those get flagged, and there are algorithms in YouTube's video content that look for those specific things, and they will intentionally not promote, or they won't add ads to these things because the advertisers themselves have been trying to opt out of, I don't want to promote my X product on a video that has a bunch of foul language and violence in it. It doesn't have any association, and I don't want to be associated as an advertiser with this video or this content. This is what happens when advertisers pull their commercials from sponsorship from certain cable companies for certain shows, right? Or that kind of thing.
And why these people lose their
some people lose their jobs.
Yeah,
over
the
this
various
stuff.
talking heads have lost jobs and found themselves. It's why certain radio personalities ended up having to go to satellite radio because too many sponsors and advertisers were offended by many of the things that they did.
Yes, yeah, on the free platform, it's like imagine
I'm trying to hit both sides here. Just to give a little bit of that. You throw out Alex Jones. I'll throw out. Gosh, I can't even think of his name now.
It's like imagine trying to throw Game of Thrones on NBC and see if it works. It won't. That wouldn't. It's too there's so much going on. You wouldn't be able to have a drama that's like that.
No.
But that being said, because of that, there'd be no advertiser who'd want to get associated with that. Don't get me wrong, there's a large following for Game of Thrones, but the platform of NBC or CBS is not the place you're going to go for that.
And HBO is that type of platform.
You can't even put it on Fox. And Fox is definitely more extreme than any of the other ones.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. There might be other people that'll disagree with you on that, but I won't.
Well, when you're looking at the content itself, it's more adult content than you'll find on a lot of other stuff, unless you're looking at a crime drama, depending on what's going down. But they tread lightly on the way that they present that information.
Yeah, depending on the time of day that they'll allow it out. I mean, I remember NYPD Blue could only show after a certain amount of time because they like to show different butts and whatnot. So it had to air after a certain time of day.
Right. Okay, so check this out.
Yes.
Here's a point that I have based on that. A lot of these network shows and the essential free content of back in the day that used to do this stuff, what would they have in order to regulate that? They would have teams of censors that watched the content and said, you can do that, you cannot do that. This advertiser will not associate themselves with that, so you need to change that part of the episode.
So it has what's the connection in this to YouTube?
YouTube does it via an algorithm. That's the problem. That's one major problem. So here's what happens, and here's where things start getting a little bit more complicated.
Yes,
okay?
Please go.
Now, more recently, YouTube has cracked down on extreme content. Or what they consider extreme content, and not just fringe content, but hate speech and violence and that kind of content.
I think I know where you're going with this.
So here's what's going down. Gaming as a channel and as a platform and an entertainment medium contains a lot of not necessarily hate speech, but they contain a lot of violence and a lot of a lot of explicit content. You're looking at things like some of the most popular games, like Call of Duty, Doom, Mortal Kombat 11. Here's another one for you.
Oh my gosh.
There actually is, and I'll tell you about Mortal Kombat 11. This is actually one of the biggest games, and this is where MatPat actually like really hit the nail on the head for me.
Because this just came out.
It came out in April.
Yeah, it's just out.
Now, I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the mistakes of YouTube's algorithm, by the way, Minecraft came out with a sequel or with an expansion pack, I think, recently. The name of the expansion pack or the sequel is called Minecraft Hardcore.
The word hardcore was
hardcore in any title of video content was being flagged automatically, and advertisements were being pulled from it from the word hardcore. Exactly. So this is the issue. This is the main issue, is that YouTube is trying to find out a quote-unquote automatic way to do it. And they do have some team, but they don't have a gargantuan team of people watching every one of the squillions of videos that goes up. So they got to have something.
Squillions? You pulling out a Newstead?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So anyways, so that being said, these games that tend to have this content and a lot of the fan base that tends to watch on YouTube, which, by the way, another thing MatPat points out, YouTube is a platform for watching gaming content aside from a lot of other major websites and gaming news sites, such as Kotaku, Polygon, IGN. A lot of those bigger websites, YouTube actually pulls, I think 44% is what he said, of the entirety of video content for gaming. That means the viewership of 44% of total viewership on the internet for video games in general is pulled from YouTube.
That's enough to get you elected president.
Right?
Seriously.
Yeah. Okay, so that being said, the problem is that YouTube and its advertisers consider, and I consider this to be YouTube themselves and their advertisers, they consider gaming as a platform, a viewership platform, to be a fringe platform. It is not a mainstream platform in their eyes. This is a mistake.
I would say so. Gaming has become such I mean, we've discussed a little bit about how our generation, the Gen Xers were kind of the first ones to get the video games, but our generation, the Xennial generation, was the first truly impacted by them. And the millennials, it's a part of their DNA. It's a part of who they are. Essentially, there's no such thing as a world without gaming for them.
Yeah, I don't see a world without gaming for me, and I'm technically quote unquote older than that, but I'm right there on the cusp.
You're on the edge of it. And we've discussed how you being in the younger part of the Xennial generation, you and having the more exposure to it. Gaming is just a part of your life. It's a multi-faceted part of life. It's not just. I mean, when you can drive by a gaming store and see people lined up outside the door at midnight for a freaking video game to come out so that they can be the first ones to watch. I remember
that used to happen around Toys R Us. Rest in peace, man.
I remember when the Xbox first came out and it launched with Halo.
Oh yeah.
Our website designer, Rob, my buddy Rob, he told me, he was on the phone. He told me, I've already ordered my Xbox. I've ordered it with Halo. It's being delivered to me on the launch day. I have it set up to deliver to me on the launch day because we lived up in the hills, so getting to a store wasn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It was being delivered to him on launch day, and he said, don't even call me for a week. I don't want to talk to you for a whole week. All right. And I'm like, dude, you're my friend. He's like, no, I'm not talking to you for a week. I am playing my Xbox, and I am playing my Halo.
That's what people.
That's it,
dude. That's what people did with Call of Duty. That's what people did with the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. That's what people did with so much stuff.
Well, we're just coming off of what, E3 happening.
E3 just happened.
And the
Nintendo broke the internet.
Breath of the Wild 2?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Direct sequel? That thing looks fire, dude. I'm down.
I didn't see anything
I'm ready.
with it. I saw the reaction that people were just, and that's the thing is, E3
that was just
dominates.
announced. By the way, they didn't announce a release date. They just said, "Oh, it's currently in development."
Yeah, and people went nuts.
Yeah, they lost it.
I mean, I saw the footage from. I watched the footage with you.
Yeah.
For the new Final Fantasy VII remake kind of thing.
Yeah.
And holy crap.
Yeah.
It makes me want to go buy a new system. I don't have the new system. That when video games come out now, they dominate news cycles.
Yeah,
these things
do.
These things are big enough. They dominate in the way that movies dominate. They dominate in the way that other cultural things dominate.
They are. And video games in general have evolved into an interactive storytelling medium, the level of most major feature films.
It's to the point where literally people's relationships exist based on their video game interactions.
Yeah. People meet online on video games and like get married in 5 years.
Yeah,
sometimes quicker.
Actually, I can say that I know somebody personally. I'm not going to release names or anything. When they listen to this, they'll know I'm talking about them. But that literally started, met somebody and has met them personally a few times as well. But most of their relationship at this point exists via playing video games online and chatting online while playing video games together.
That's fantastic.
And that's just, I mean, it's a whole world of things now.
Yeah, it's a culture. There's an entire culture based on it.
Black Mirror. I've told you about the Black Mirror series, the Netflix series Black Mirror.
Yeah.
One of their most recent, in their most recent season, they did an episode about this interactive video game culture and people getting involved in it. My understanding it's a messed up episode. I haven't quite watched it yet. I'm a little afraid to because it looks, the preview I saw of it looks a little bit... Yeah, strange. It looks like it goes a few places, and Black Mirror has a tendency to do that. Great series, but it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But no, it should have much more respect as a cultural thing.
It totally should.
Than what it does.
Yeah, definitely. So getting back to it.
Yeah.
Here's one of the things that he actually that MatPat had actually put up there, which I agree completely with. So back, the most recent Mortal Kombat game just came out.
11, yeah.
And I've seen Mortal Kombat 9 and Mortal Kombat X, and Mortal Kombat 11 just came out.
Yeah.
You heard about it. They pulled out all the stops on this thing.
Yes, you told me about the commercial for it. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I still have not fully seen the commercial.
I actually watched a video earlier today. Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa is playing Shang Tsung
I saw
in
that.
the game.
I saw that.
His face and his character model.
I saw that.
That's fantastic. They are
was
really
freaking out a
pulling it
little.
in on that, and I love it. I love it. That being said, Mortal Kombat 11 is obviously a very violent video game.
Well, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, Mortal Kombat caused a panic when it first came out on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Back when the original one came
Yep.
out on Super Nintendo, it caused a huge panic with all the violence and all the blood and all the gore.
Yeah.
And in fact, if I remember correctly, either on the Super Nintendo or on the Sega, there were versions released that had no blood in them.
The Super NES had no blood.
Okay.
The Genesis had no blood by default, but the Genesis vastly outsold the Super NES version because there was a secret blood code in it.
Yes. Okay, that's what it was.
And so the secret blood code allowed you to use also to use original fatalities.
Yes. Okay, I remember.
Yep.
I knew it was something like that.
It was so the blood code unlocked the full quote unquote version of the game. I do have the Genesis version of Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
Actually, Nintendo very much learned because they were a children's platform at the time, quote unquote.
Yeah.
They marketed themselves to kids. So that version of Mortal Kombat they wanted censored because Tipper Gore and the entire United States government was railing against violent video games at the time.
PMRC.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What ended up happening with that was Nintendo learned their damn lesson, and when Mortal Kombat 2 rolled around, it was full deal. It was the full
I think that's the one I
setup.
have for Super Nintendo. I think I have either 2 or 3 for my Super. Anyway.
MK2 and MK3, everything else, all the Mortal Kombat titles were full-fledged at that point. Now, that being said,
So what
speaking
happened
of
with
Mortal
11?
Kombat 11, here's what happened. Mortal Kombat 11, they did their announcement in like February, I think, or January. They released in April. There was hype on hype on hype for this game. There's a guy I watched called Maximilian Dude. He's the only guy I know of who's actually playing Mortal Kombat online on his PC right now and streaming it. He's the only one. And most of these guys are moving to another gaming platform for streaming called Twitch, where they live stream their playing online.
You've talked to me about this before.
Yeah, Twitch is cool, but it's not YouTube. YouTube is different. You can refine what you have. You can create a video and then put it out on YouTube and plan it. You can't.
Twitch is a full live
Twitch is
deal.
just straight live stream. So the lulls.
It's like the difference between
points.
between us doing this as a daily radio show or a weekly radio show,
Yeah.
and then us releasing it as a podcast where you take out all the coughs and burps.
Yeah, if something happens, I can at
James
least
messing
make
up
it.
and-
Yeah, I can at least make this kind of entertaining on a level where you don't get those dead points in the middle of the conversation.
Unless of course James says no. Keep the dead point in. Keep
it in. Don't quack me.
Yes, don't quack me. Don't shorten the gap. I want that gap there.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen. Especially if we've got to make up time. But anyways, that being said, here's the thing: because of the violent content and because advertisers were pulling from violent content. Let me get to another point before we get to that. One of the some of the advertising revenue that's made for a product, I can't remember what the term exactly is, but basically it's kind of like YouTube's version of word of mouth.
Okay.
So what YouTube's version of word of mouth is, content creator decides to play a game because it's popular, because it's hot before it comes out, or just on the cusp of it coming out. People are going to want to watch people playing that game. Some people make their decision to purchase a game based on what they see people play it on YouTube.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right. Okay, so Mortal Kombat 11's on its way out, right? YouTube starts cracking down on the advertising revenue, and what ends up happening is Mortal Kombat basically loses. Midway, NetherRealm Studios now. Midway is no more. NetherRealm Studios, they're owned by Warner Brothers.
Okay.
They and Ed Boon, one of the original creators of Mortal Kombat, is the figurehead behind all of the Mortal Kombat games, and they have just ridiculous amounts of content. I can't remember who's in the more recent one, but they're taking like horror movie icons and putting them in.
Nice.
One of the more recent ones, the Terminator is in it.
Nice.
He's supposed to be coming out as DLC, or at least what I've heard. But previously, dude, Mortal Kombat 9 had Freddy Krueger. Mortal Kombat 10 had Jason Voorhees and Leatherface and the alien Xenomorph and Predator as playable characters.
That actually explains. I know one specific person who's gotten the more recent Mortal Kombat games and has commented about having them and whatnot. He's a big horror movie fan, so it makes sense that he would have gotten those with those icons.
I think they had in Predator. I think they had Billy D. Williams' character in. No, I'm sorry, no, not Billy.
Danny Glover.
No, not Danny Glover. The first one.
Oh, Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers. Thank you. I messed those two guys up.
No worries.
Yes, Carl Weathers. I'm like Apollo Creed, but that's not.
Well, that's you have a character of his, so that's right.
Yeah. But anyways, his character is a playable. Like I think it's a playable skin. Like you could take Jax and flip it with him, or something like that in the MK10. So there is some of that stuff that's done. And please correct me if that's wrong, by the way. I just remembered hearing about it. I'm going off the cuff here. But so to anybody who's listening, please correct me if that's incorrect. But anyway, so basically, Mortal Kombat didn't get the hype that it was supposed to get because YouTube content creators, the largest gaming platform viewership, or the largest gaming platform for viewership on the internet, nobody was doing it because their videos would have been demonetized. They wouldn't have made money to do it. And they were trying to make money. This is the only way that they make money. They're not swimming in cash either. So they have to be meticulous about the content they put up.
That's just, that's wow.
It hit Mortal Kombat's release date so bad that they dropped $10. The price dropped $10 the day after release.
Wow.
That's how badly Mortal Kombat sales were hit because they were not able to rely on YouTube as a content creation platform.
By the way, quick note, it's not Ed Boon, it's Tobias Boon.
No, it's Ed Boon. Ed Boon and John Tobias.
Is it John Tobias?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I knew that Tobias and the Boon were important.
Yeah, Noob Saibot is a character, yes.
So that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's Boon and Tobias's last names flipped backwards.
That's what it is. I thought it was one guy, Tobias Boon.
Yeah,
okay.
Ed Boon and John Tobias were the two characters.
Because those, I just knew that, guys, again, I just knew Tobias and Boon were the important names because of the character that comes from it.
Yes. So, that being said, what happened in Mortal Kombat was it dropped $10. It dropped 15% of its price point.
All because these people just did not want to do the playthroughs of it, the videos for it, because they wouldn't get any kind of money out of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth the money.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now, that being said, this is actually part of a larger problem.
Okay.
I'm going to get back to that after the break.
Okay, please do. So we're going to take the break now?
We're going to take the break now.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey friends, this is Mike from the Xennial Chronicles reminding you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Xencron, spelled Xenchron, to keep up to date on all things TXC. And please check out our official website, theXennialChronicles.com, or if that's too much to type, Xencron.com. Thanks again for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we are back. Now, you teased before we left, Mike, that you were going to have the next point. What's the next point?
Okay, yeah.
Let us
Basically,
go.
my next point, getting back on this, I was talking about the whole YouTube thing in gaming. It was very specifically concentrated on that platform. But the main thing behind it, the biggest issue that I had, now I had a conversation with my wife after we watched this, we watched this video, and it really it got the gears turning a little bit. And I just kind of noticed a lot more about the general culture of advertisement in general. And I'm like noticing a lot of other things too. There's a lot of people that are tending to more specifically the millennial generation.
Yeah.
I like, I think one of my favorite articles that I'd seen on it was titled.
Wait, you read?
No.
Okay.
I think the article was titled "Millennials Are Ruining the Housing Market."
Okay.
And it said that, like, it was making a jab at a generation instead of the lack of control on the housing market itself, because that's been ruined for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Long time. We're freaking 20 years into a deregulated market.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. And it's crashed. That has helped crash the economy twice in that time, and still has not been fixed. Now, that being said, there was also another one. It says, millennials are ruining the jewelry market, or something like the diamond.
Yes, I saw that one.
Yeah.
The millennials are ruining the diamond market.
Diamond industry, that's what it was. Millennials are ruining the diamond industry. And I see these very accusatory titles, and I always skip past those articles because I know the point. The point is the fact that you're trying to accuse a generation that doesn't see the use in investing into something and inflating their debt in order to make themselves look better to other people.
The rampant consumerism, yeah.
Yeah, I say we because, like I said, I'm a cusper here.
This is what actually popped through in the excess of the 80s, the whole greed excess of the 80s.
Yeah.
Where it was, I mean, it's always been, I mean, there's a name for it. Keeping up with the Joneses. This idea that you need to be able to buy the new and better things so that you can keep up with the people around you, and you are valued by the things that you have and by what you own. And there's been people railing against this for a long time. I mean, heck, John Lennon's Imagine is a complete rail against that kind of valuing of people by the things that they own, by what they are.
Yeah.
Interesting note. I've mentioned the movie to you before, Josie and the Pussycats. Having this discussion, you really need to go back and watch that again.
You know what? Yeah, I've seen a couple of the clips since you showed me, and it just runs a freaking stake through all that.
Yeah,
man.
it's really about how marketing and whatnot is trying to get you to buy all these things and trying to get you to consume, so that one, so people can make more money off of you, and two, they're playing on your fears of acceptance, your fears of being a part of the group. And one of the things I think maybe you're noticing about millennials, maybe this is the direction you're going. I'm just spoofing off.
Yeah, go for it. Is
that millennials are. There's the FOMO thing going on, which we discussed the FOMO thing in an earlier thing. But I think there's this newer understanding within millennials where they're not worried about necessarily having all of the things. What's weird about the FOMO revolution is it's not about having things, it's about missing out on experiences and opportunities, whereas the things have become less important. And if you really think about it, though, we've made a culture where there are a lot of things that are disposable.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things. You were showing me earlier today, in fact, your And Justice for All that you picked. You picked a remastered version of And Justice for All.
Yeah.
And you were commenting on how it was reminiscent of the vinyl, and the sleeve for it was reminiscent of the vinyl. And you and I are both, we are both avowed packaging whores. We love to buy the packaging of things. Even if we have a digital version of something, we want the damn packaging. Yeah. Because we like to have the physical packaging. It's part of what we are. We need those things.
Yeah, the physical things.
This newer generation isn't as encompassed about having those things.
Well, there's a philosophy that I share along with them, and here's if you remember back, let's take it back about 10, 12 years ago.
I'll try.
We were all essentially still living on our own at that point, and it had been a while since I had been no longer living with you.
So this is when you and I first got back to talking to each other and seeing each other and whatnot.
You know what I would do, man? You remember where I was? I was living in an apartment, and I had the same car that I have sitting on my driveway right now.
Oh yeah.
Now that being said, I've had that car for
long time.
I think I've had that car for more than a decade now.
Yeah, at this point, at least. Because we've been back in touch for more than a decade.
We have, and I had that car for probably a couple of years before I got back in touch with you. Now that being said, that's important because I can still take that old rickety ass bucket and take it over to a rock concert that I want to go see, or I can drive down to a record store and buy stuff that I can take home. Okay, I can own things. I could go to a movie theater if I want, but I also can wait for that damn movie to come out on DVD or Blu-ray and buy it and take it home and keep it and not have to be dependent on whether or not I have an internet connection in order to watch something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I go out to Goodwill and I peruse the VHS tapes just for the hell of it. I have a VCR in here. I'll take that. I'll digital backup it if I want to.
I actually have somewhere a VCR DVD player combo that you can actually
take the tape and record it to DVD.
Yes. I have one of those.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
And I still have the remote for it.
Nice.
And
that's the one that always gets lost.
No.
That's even better. The part that always goes missing.
Not only do I have the remote for it, I have the instruction manual for it still.
Damn, son.
Yes.
You got the box too?
No.
That's okay. It's quite a bit of the package that you have there.
I'm good, but I'm not that good. Although I do have a Laserdisc player, so there's that.
All right. So here's where I'm... Wow, nice. Here's where I'm getting at on this.
Yeah.
Okay? This is the point. It is not that... obviously so. It is not some horse hockey that millennials are ruining the market. It's the fact that the market doesn't understand their customer base. The advertisers themselves are the ones that are out of touch. They seem to be just completely out of touch with that. And instead, they're throwing out this accusation.
Well, and I think part of the accusation is an attempt to shame.
Yeah.
And an attempt to influence their the parental generation of the millennials, the Gen Xers who are still worried about that keeping up with the Joneses, that buying all of these things.
They're like the last generation is going to be concerned with it, though.
Well, we're the last generation.
The generation
now.
that started we're the generation that started building our wardrobe at thrift stores.
Yeah, I mean
we still frequent them, and all of us do. Use record shops, stuff like that, man.
It's funny. I can see some of the differences when I was a kid and I thought about how adults dressed. Think back when you were a kid and how adults dressed. Mm-hmm. Right? Think about how people in their 30s dressed. Okay?
They dressed terribly.
Well, they did, but
my father had a mullet and parachute pants. It was horrible. Okay,
but think about it in comparison. The way you dress on a daily basis, do you dress like what you thought a 30-year-old was going to dress like? Or do you dress like? Do you still basically dress like your teenage self?
I pretty much dress like my teenage self. Like I dress up in a relative pair of jeans, a ball cap, and a t-shirt, like I always did.
I mean, anybody that knows me knows I always have a pair of shorts of some type, either swim shorts or sweat shorts or something. I only wear shorts anymore, and t-shirts. And I
still dress like it's 2002. I don't care.
And literally, when I take off my baseball cap that I'm wearing, whatever type of cap I'm wearing,
yeah.
If I take that off, people don't recognize me because I'm almost never without a cap on. I always have one on.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of like, why do you? The thing is that I still dress like it's 2002. I still have clothes that fit me from 2002.
Well, but you.
Sorry, that's not where I went with that. That's not where I went with that.
You can quack that one out, but I meant it. Damn it, I meant it. Let's make fun of the fat James.
No, that's not where I was going.
Don't quack that part out.
I've got clothes that lasted me 10, 15 years. And you know what I mean?
What I'm going into, though, is if you look back...
And I paid maybe $10 for the shirt when I got it.
If you look back, though, at old pictures and now pictures have only been around for so long, but there was a way you started dressing as an adult, and I think starting with... maybe a little bit with Gen X and then coming even more full-fledged into our generation, we stopped dressing like adults. We just kept dressing like ourselves. We didn't have an adult style of dress. There are some still. Man, I watch some of these people the second they become dads, because that's the issue to me is, and if for some reason you ever become a dad and you start wearing dad shorts and dad clothes...
I'm wearing cargo shorts right now. Is that what you're talking about?
No, the cargo shorts are not the thing. I'm talking like the shorts that come halfway up the thigh. The khaki shorts that are halfway up the thigh. You will
never catch me dead in a pair of those.
And a freaking a pastel colored polo.
I will blind people. That is terrible.
Well, I understand the light skin issue. I'm just more thinking of the fact that and more importantly, sandals with socks. I will punch you.
I will never do that.
I will punch you.
I will punch you for saying that or considering the possibility that I would do that.
People do that, though. I've seen people do that. They fall into that. I'm a dad now, so I dress like a dad.
That's dumb.
It really is. It really is. But I've seen it.
That's the point. That's just the end.
That's
dumb.
I've seen people that are 10 years younger than me and they have their kids and suddenly they change the way they dress and they start dressing like this. And I'm like, why do you dress like that? Well, isn't that how dads dress? No, you don't have to. Look at me, man. I'm a dad. I got 3 freaking kids. I have a 16-year-old and I'm still wearing, comic book and Star Wars and band t-shirts, if I can find band t-shirts that fit. You would think that heavy metal bands would have bigger sizes on t-shirts. I'm sorry. In every group of heavy metal fans, there's always at least 2 fat guys. At least. Think about it. I want you to think back with all your heavy metal friend groups. There's always at least 2 fat guys.
Yeah,
going
at
around.
least. And one of them's the roadie.
Yeah, and most likely at least one of them's a Pantera fan.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Too many Twinkies. Anyway. That stuff will rot your brain, Twinkies. All the preservatives, that messes with your head. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right,
no,
but
I get you.
there's a market for, think about it this way, the market on diamonds. My wife's wedding ring isn't even a diamond.
My wife's first one was, but it was not a very big one. But it was one.
When I bought it for her, it's a sapphire, actually. It's a sapphire. It's got a little bit of diamond crusted on the outside, but it's a sapphire, and it was because that's what she liked, and I knew it, so I got that.
Well, one, you're an awesome guy.
Thank you.
Applause for Mike as a guy.
Thank you. I did my research. Asked for friends.
What's funny about that, though, is let's get into this. How many years have you been married for?
4.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very much so. I remember I was there. It was an interesting day. I'm working on 18. It'll be 18 at the end of next month.
Wow.
And
see, that's worth a congratulations, sir.
Also, you were there.
I was there.
You were there.
And so was my wife.
And so was your wife. Your wife was there in a more official capacity than you were.
Yes.
As she was standing one person over from my wife during the ceremony.
Yes.
At that time, I admit I bought into the idea that I needed to get a diamond. I can tell you right now, I could have gotten a different type of ring for my wife, and she would have probably been happier than the one that I got her, because the one I got her was a fairly traditional set. I mean, the set that I got for us. Let me rephrase: the set that my mother helped get for us was a very traditional set.
Ah, catch that. That's important. Think about that for a minute.
Well, no.
And
hold on.
what year was it?
Hold on. I want to say this. It was not a traditional set because my mother helped to pick it. Not at all. My mother was, the only thing my mother really helped with was she helped with the financing of it. She had an account at a jewelry place.
My mom helped with finances on mine as well.
I didn't have the money to afford to buy anything nice. And so my mother helped me get the financing on it. And because it was from a jewelry place, I just bought basically, for the most part, the bottom of the line cheapest wedding set that I could afford at that time.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2001 that I bought that. Well, technically I bought it in November, December of 2000. Yeah.
Okay. So think about this.
That's a lot of time difference.
That is a lot of time difference.
14 years difference.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what I'm getting at is that when you look at the time period that you were in and the influence of the market at the time and all the influence and also the influence of there was some influence from your parents and her parents.
Not well. I can say. Hold on.
You went with what you thought people liked.
Well,
right?
in this specific thing, I can say yes. The assumed. I can say her parents really didn't have much influence on it. My parents got married with just plain white gold bands, nothing on them.
Nice.
When they originally got married, it wasn't until they got money later on that they bought different rings and they picked out their own rings.
Yeah.
At that point, so I can't say that my parents necessarily had influence. It was more of a cultural influence.
Yeah.
And me trying to do it for the same reason that I forced my wife to get a traditional white wedding dress for the wedding, as opposed to the styles of dress that she wanted. I was in a tux. She was in a white dress. I don't know if you know this, but she did not want to wear a traditional white wedding dress.
Oh.
She wanted to be able to wear more of a peasant style dress and have it long and flowing. I mean, she's part hippie. Think about it. Think about Sarah, and that makes sense, doesn't it?
That absolutely makes sense, and I would have seen it and been like, that
works.
That would have been perfect.
I pushed for the tuxes. I pushed for the white wedding dress. I pushed for the traditional wedding. It's my only real regret from the wedding is I kind of pushed my agenda on that, and I didn't really listen to her as well.
Yeah,
I knew this was the only time I was getting married, and it still will be the only time I'm getting married.
Yeah,
I mean, 18 years later, that was a pretty good decision, at least knowing it was the only time I was getting married. But I still feel I've told her I feel bad about the fact that I pushed for that, but that was because that's what was the assumed thing to have happen.
Yeah, that was expected.
I can say
it was what you assumed from the culture.
But both of us have been unable to wear our original rings for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have bought subsequent rings to wear.
Yeah.
I don't wear mine that often, although anybody knows me knows I have tattoos on my fingers. You should post those pictures, by the way.
I did.
I have tattoos on my fingers from one of Mike's previous bands, Prilosis.
Yeah.
The only finger that's not tattooed is my ring finger on my left hand.
Yep.
Because my wife said that's the finger she gets as hers. No tattoo on that one. Because I don't always wear a ring because it's uncomfortable. Sometimes my bloatedness, goes up and down. So sometimes the ring fits, sometimes it doesn't because, again, fat guy. But her current ring is actually, it's the one that she most recently got for her finger. It's actually a fake stone. It's not a real stone. And it's a rainbow stone.
Cool.
Which, again, if you think about Sarah, rainbow makes perfect sense.
Totally.
You've seen my giant skull ring.
Yeah.
That's my wedding ring now.
Nice.
That giant skull ring. And again, it makes sense for me. I love anything with skulls on it. And it's like a gigantic freaking ring. It's huge, so heavy. And honestly, if I had been more secure in myself at that age, if I had been more understanding of who I was at that age, if I had been more understanding of who my wife really was at that time, I was still too young and too stupid. Those are the type of things we would have gotten married with originally, and we would have done it in whatever clothes we wanted. But we had been sold. This is what was, I had been sold, not
yes.
we. I had been sold. This is what was needed. And I wish I had had the wherewithal to not fall into that trap.
I understand completely.
And
I get that, dude. And here's the point that I'm getting at based on this.
Yeah.
Is this generation, this time frame that we are in, and the culture is way separated from what all of these advertisement companies are trying to find. They're grasping for straws, trying to see if they can catch any semblance of a mass appeal in such an individualized market. But they need to realize that they're talking to people that bought used their entire lives, that has never owned a house. They've probably never owned a new car. And if they own one, they've probably paid it out completely. They're low, if not non-existent, on any credit card debt, unless it's a student loan debt, most likely.
Okay.
Which they shouldn't flip and have anyway, to be completely honest. I'm part of that crowd.
We'll have a discussion about that at some point or another.
But the culture,
that's a fun one to get into with you and me.
But the culture itself is not. The culture itself is very far separated from this. Get this new thing. This is the hot whatever. They don't have that.
Well, okay,
and
but
so these guys.
What about the phone thing? What about the fact that every time a new phone comes out, you have to have this group getting the new phone? Is it not the millennials that go out and get these new phones, or is it other generations that are going out and getting these new phones?
You'd be surprised how many of the older generations are getting the new hot thing.
I mean, I will admit,
you're talking to a guy that's got. You're talking to a guy right now that has a smartphone that's 5 years old.
What you rocking?
Galaxy S6.
Yeah, you're rocking an S6?
Yeah, and I'm paying $5 a month for it right now, and I could throw down $40 and own the thing right out from the point that I started.
Just out of curiosity.
This was a $500 phone when it came out.
Just out of curiosity, how much memory does it have?
32 gig.
And how much RAM?
It's flash memory. The whole thing is 32 gig.
So it doesn't have like for the operating, it doesn't have like 2 gig or anything for the operating RAM?
It reserves some of the 32 gig, I believe, for the OS, if I'm not mistaken.
I have an LG X Charge.
Uh-huh.
You probably never even heard of that phone.
Never have.
16 gigabyte.
Okay.
2 gig operating. And it's on like Android 7 operating system. It's not
I think
even on
mine's
9.
7 as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's not even on 9, which is the newest one. 9 is Pi.
You have to make your apps backward compatible anyway in order to get the mass appeal.
I'm paying $750 a month on mine.
Yeah.
$38 and I have it paid off, and I have three of the same phones because of the program we're on with the adults in the household.
Yeah.
So literally, what, $120, all three phones would be paid off completely.
Are some people, don't get me wrong, there are some people that have iPhones, but
Yeah.
you know how many people I know of that have iPhones? Like, don't get me wrong, I believe it is the most sold phone, but it's also attached to plans specifically that are working with upgrade plans for phone companies.
Well, and what's funny about it is the people that have the iPhones are the ones that take their iPhones and use it not only as their phone, but they throw all their music and stuff on it, so they don't have the multiple things.
Well, I've got music on mine because I have to use it at work.
Okay, but is it like your personal music player, or do you have an iPod as well?
Well, I have a personal music player, and I'll listen to mixes through the phone. I used to have to burn CDs all the time.
Yeah.
But
oh God, burning CDs.
Yes, I still have slews of CDs. I'll burn a bunch of them. I
got
don't
books.
care.
I got books still. I still got the CD books. But that's the thing is, how many of these young people are buying CDs? How many of them are instead just buying the songs that they want, or just downloading the songs, or more importantly, just listening to them on YouTube
or streaming? Yeah, these people have Spotify memberships where they pay what, $9 a month,
and they can stream
and they
what
have
they want.
every type of music that they could ever get, that they ever want to get or think of getting. And I'm talking super rarities, deep cuts, special editions of albums that come out for release.
Then you have things like Netflix, because I know you had mentioned before we had this discussion, you had mentioned Netflix and what happened with that Adam Sandler movie on Netflix.
Yeah, that's another point that I was getting at. Essentially, what people want in this current market is they want maintainability, they want permanence, they want something, they want convenience, but they don't want. They want to see the value. They want value and they want permanence. Those are the two major things.
Okay.
They want something that's going to last them a long time. They want something that they don't have to pay an arm and a leg for. So paying $15 to go see a movie in the theater and paying $15 to go own that movie and watch it any time that you want and take it home and have a digital copy you could flip up on your phone on your lunch break.
Well, and then
that's a completely different market.
The idea that you can pay $15 a month for a streaming service.
$15 a month for umpteen thousands of movies at any point in time, plus TV series.
I was in the store today looking at a box set of a TV show. It was a full box set of one specific TV show. It was like a 5 or 6 season TV show.
Yeah.
And it had all the episodes in it.
Cool.
And it was $75. And it was a show that my wife likes. I showed it to her.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's kind of cool. I said, yeah, but what's the use? You just finished binge watching that show on whatever streaming service it was on.
Yeah.
You just finished binge watching it like 2 weeks ago, and you watched the whole series. She's currently watching a series that's going to be removed from Netflix at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Because, they cycle them in and out.
Yeah.
And this is her second or third time watching this series through, and she's finishing it up right now because it's going to be gone at the end of, finishing up her second or third time through. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched Grey's Anatomy through because it's available on different streaming services.
Yeah.
What's the point of buying them anymore if you can just watch them on a streaming service somewhere?
Honestly, personally, I would probably wait until it shows up used at a used record store or something.
There's that. Well,
I mean, we don't really have that one.
How many of those are disappearing anymore?
We have a few of them, but it doesn't mean you can't stop. You know where it's going to go? It's going to go to a Goodwill. It's going to go to another thrift store. It's going to go to
sell on eBay.
It's going to sell on eBay. There's a new used movie. We're up in the Sacramento area, and one of the biggest record companies is going out of business. Dimple Records is a used music shop, and I lived there practically, getting old video game stuff, getting old DVDs. They just announced their closure. This is a completely off the subject deal, but they just announced they're closing soon.
Off the subject deal, because I'm going to counterpoint you.
Yes,
if people are wanting to buy these things and buy them used, a place like that should be flourishing in this market.
Yes, it very much should. I think their personal opinion. I don't have enough information on the whole matter. I think it is a little bit more. It's been a family-owned and operated business for 45 years.
There may be more involved than just that.
And I know that the original owners who still own the company are going out of retirement. Again, I'm not knocking anything, but there's also how lucrative it is to carry on that business to somebody else. Maybe they couldn't find a purchaser. Who knows? There's a friend of mine who's going to be doing his own thing in his own company that's going to be carrying that torch. So I'm probably going to be dropping by there.
I need to go. I need to go see him when he sets up whatever else is happening after that.
Yeah, for sure. But so I think that culture will still exist because you have so many places. There's other places you can go. Like I said, you do thrift stores. There's another used movie music discount shop that you can go to.
I live in thrift stores and get stuff there. Interesting. You know what I find there? I find millennials buying stuff at thrift stores to upsell on eBay.
You can make money doing that.
Yeah, I know. I know a guy specifically.
You can go to
who
thrift
does
stores,
that.
pawn shops, that kind of stuff. Pick up stuff for cheap, turn around and flip it and make money on it after shipping.
All my musical instruments come from pawn shops.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
See what I'm getting at? The point is that we already are we have full knowledge as a generation or two generations or a micro generation or whatever you want to call us.
We're a micro generation.
We're a micro generation, but our
we have influence from two other generations, but we are our own micro generation. Again, it's in the title.
Yeah. And all of us have full knowledge that we can get what we need for less money and we can own it. Yeah. Why would we want to invest in the new hot thing when we've got the same thing? That's something that, honestly, I think that's something that I personally learned from my parents. And I think maybe there's a lot of people that didn't learn that from their parents, but they learned it as soon as they got out of the house.
This could be an interesting discussion as far as maybe this isn't a generational thing as much as it's maybe a class thing.
That's
an
possible.
Economic class thing. And what we're seeing is a decrease of one economic class and an increase of another, and the effects of it. This may be a class thing as opposed to. I'm thinking,
dude, I think you're onto something.
Because I mean, aren't we hearing about the decline of the middle class and the shrinking of the middle class and the increasing of the lower class?
The lower class, yeah.
And this is, I mean, my parents were wonderful people and did the best that they could for their family, but they would agree, at least the one that can agree at this point in time, would agree that. You didn't laugh at that joke. Damn.
I'm sorry. I was checking notes. I apologize.
He would agree that we didn't have a lot of money. Well, my family was never really monetarily inclined. We were, for the most part, a poor family. We didn't mean we didn't have food. We didn't have the basic necessities. We never went without anything.
Yeah.
But we were the people that had old cars that were beat up and often needed to be repaired.
Yeah.
We didn't have the brand new stuff when it came out. It was years or two later. I've talked about the fact that I've always been one generation behind in video games because it was just when it was affordable that my parents were able to get me those things because they couldn't necessarily afford to keep up with everything as it was coming forward.
Yeah.
And I think it taught that in me. It taught me the fact that sometimes you wait for those things. Sometimes it's better to wait for them. Sometimes it's you can rationalize. Do I really need this thing, or do I just want it because other people have it? I can tell you, I'm still with the video games. I'm still one generation behind because I still haven't got enough reason given to me to buy the new games. Now, for you, games are a lot more important than they are for me.
Well, but we're still a generation behind. I mean, I consider myself a generation behind. Because
I'm a literal generation behind in the sense that you have either you have an Xbox One, right?
Yes.
You also have a PS4.
No.
Okay, I have an Xbox 360 and a PS3.
Okay.
So I'm literally a generation behind of the gaming stuff.
All right, so check this out. I have an Xbox One that I got, and the only reason why I got it was because it was on discount at a gaming store located in Texas. My wife's family lives in Texas.
Oh, she's not.
Did I tell you about this?
No, we'll have to. You'll have to tell me at some point.
Okay, I mean, I could tell you real quick. Basically, the store was blowing out their inventory.
Yeah.
This was I believe it was a refurbished Xbox.
Nice.
It had a Kinect on it.
Nice.
It's an Xbox One.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, there was a mistake in the calculation, and we got out with that for $125.
Damn.
$125 for a $450 Xbox.
Nah,
That's why I bought it.
I hate you.
Now, that being said, the most current generation system I technically have is the one that's behind all the other ones that gets ripped on for not being technologically sound.
Oh, Switch.
But the Switch. But think about that for a minute. The newest Xbox, I think they're starting to blow them out now because they're going to be announcing the Project Scorpion or whatever, the new generation, right?
Yeah.
The newest Xbox right now, the 4K whiz bang nutso is $500 with one controller.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend $500 on a video game system.
Neither
what
am I.
I am going to do is spend $300, 2/3 of that amount, on a system that gives me 2 controllers, can hook up in HD, and also can go portable.
Which
That's the Switch.
Yeah, it has some nice capabilities
Now,
in that.
on top of that, it's also cartridge based. So therefore, you have you don't have to worry about CDs anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you don't have to worry about your games breaking on you.
Well, and the cartridge base makes it a lot easier for the mobility portion of it.
Yes, it's easier to store, easier to move around. You can carry the games with you. They had this all set up.
Well, and an interesting thing, because I've been looking into newer game systems, the download games for the Switch are actually pretty extensive. I mean,
and they're cheap. Have you seen how cheap they are?
Well, PSN's got some really interesting download games.
Yeah.
But I was looking at, and I'm a role player. I play D&D. I did that. There's a whole bunch of old school computer Baldur's Gate games.
Yeah.
That you can download on. Like, that's like, I'm kind of interested in playing those on a console instead of on a computer.
That's actually big. Gamers actually, the gaming market specifically, not these general advertisers I'm talking about, but the gaming market specifically definitely gets us in general as a market. Yes, because they know. I just saw an ad for the entire Contra series coming out for like $20.
Nice.
Or something like that. And there's like 6 or 7 games. There's the NES Contra, but there's also the original arcade Contra games on it.
Nice.
Contra 1 and 2, Super C. You have
the only problem is
the Robotech games that came out in Japan. You get the third Contra. You get a bunch of them.
Interesting note. My one PSP that's got all the cool stuff on it.
Yeah.
It's got the original NES Contra.
Nice.
And you can Konami code it.
Nice. Okay, so it is the original version.
It is the original. You can do the Konami code on it, which is good, because like 3 lives, not enough. Not enough at all. I can't even get past the first stage on 3 lives.
Yep.
Heck, I can't get past the first stage with 20 lives left when you get to 30.
Yep.
I'm terrible at that game. But no, like we talked about E3 coming out and doing the show of the new Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah.
For the week or 2 weeks leading up to that, all of the Final Fantasy games on PSN were half off.
Yep.
And I ended up purchasing the digital of 7, 8, and 9.
Yep.
And putting them on my other PSP.
Yeah.
So that I now have Final Fantasy 7 and 8 portable.
Yeah.
It's so amazing, especially Final Fantasy VIII. That's one of those games that I actually did spend a decent amount of time on. Of the 4 discs of that game, I did get to disc 3. And for me, that's an accomplishment.
Dang.
Yeah.
Right on.
And so I'm like,
I'm working
excited.
on 7 right now. I downloaded 7 on my Xbox One. It was available on Switch as well, but I downloaded it on Xbox One. It's really cool. My catch on it was, one of the big issues is like the old game systems. You hook them up to these new TVs and they just look like trash.
Oh, yeah.
They're all super blurry and nasty and pixelated. But the Xbox One version, it's all high-res graphics. It is a port of the phone version of the game. By the way, the game's on your phone. You can get the game on your phone.
What?
Yeah, you can get 7 on your phone.
Buckleberry Ferry.
Right? But that being said, this is one of the points. This market, especially the gaming market in general, like, they are right in line with the general millennial mindset and Xennial mindset of it's a nostalgia, usefulness, the permanence of your purchases. That they have that. They know that that's what the market is. And so they specifically market towards that. Nintendo is actually one of the best companies at that. They literally use old technology. They're oh my God, what was the guy's name? Gunpei Yokoi. He was the guy who invented the Game & Watch games, the old LCD ones, the flip-open ones.
Yeah.
He also invented the Game Boy.
Nice.
And if you notice that with all of Nintendo systems that ever came out, they're all using, he used a philosophy. It's called lateral thinking with withered technology. Okay? It's because if it uses old tech, it's cheap to produce. And if you turn around and take this old tech and you create something new out of it that then is marketable and mass producible for cheap, you will make more money. And all you have to do is you have to make that fun to play. If you look at the co-released systems with other systems that came out, They were using better technology and did not sell as well because they were more expensive to produce for. The Sega Genesis was more expensive than the SNES. Well, the SNES was not as technologically impressive technically when it came down to speed, but it was cheaper to make.
Well, and I mean, I remember when
the Game Boy, it was black and white against the Game Gear, which was crazy color awesome, but it uses 6 AA batteries in 2.5 hours.
Yeah. I actually remember very distinctly when the Wii came out. Mm-hmm. That was one of the first times that I, as a person, bought a game system within the first 6 months that a game system was out.
Case in point, do you know what a Wii is? A Wii is a GameCube with motion control on it.
Basically.
It literally is the same hardware on the inside. There's no change. The difference is you have a different video output. That outputs to widescreen. If you want to make it that, it'll still hook up to an old TV. And you have a motion sensor on it. But it has the old controller ports. It has the same hardware on the inside. It plays the old games. It was based on that because they had already created the tech. So they just used the same tech and made new games with motion control on them.
And see, that thing sold like gangbusters because it was a very family-friendly situation. It was something that bridged that gap between the the boomers, the Gen Xers, and the millennials, and us Xennials right in the middle. It bridged the gap because there was games that everybody could play, and then games that were more centric towards every area of the family.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to write this essentially. I'm not putting this out as like some love letter to Nintendo, but specifically what it's about is that there is a market here. The market that these advertisers need to concentrate on is probably the gaming market, because if you know how the philosophy of the gaming market works, especially in the retro gaming market, you're going to find people that will invest in something that they know they're going to be able to keep.
Well, and if you're going to market to the gaming population, don't market specific things that are in many ways caricaturic and insulting things to market.
Yeah.
It's like if you see anything that's marketed toward gamers, it's like Mountain Dew flavors. And it's like, really? Really? That's so cliche.
Yeah.
That's like in Harold and Kumar Escape Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
And they're the one guy who's kind of the ass cop is trying to interrogate a bunch of African-American people in a kind of poor neighborhood. And he's pouring either grape or orange soda onto the ground as an interrogation technique.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
And I mean, it's literally that type of, I mean, not to that extent, because that's been going on for a long time, but still, I'm just saying.
Oh man.
That type of racism has been going on for a long time. But, because I mean, racism is a much more serious topic, but that's still you're taking a caricature, you're taking a cliche of that person, and they're a gamer, so they must drink Mountain Dew.
Right. I get you. I know what you mean.
Here's the game fuel.
Yeah, it's stigmatizing. It's stigmatizing a market.
Yeah.
And
we'll target them with chips and caffeinated soda because that's all that they ever consume.
Right. Exactly. Just give me some Doritos and Mountain Dew and I'll be
fine.
Funny
enough, the most common people that I know to eat like healthier food, are people that identify as gamers. Most of the vegans that I know, and sadly I know a few.
It's okay, man.
No, it's
to each
not.
their own.
Okay. Keep that pause. Dramatic effect. Damn, I'm really having trouble keeping going. Do you want to keep this pause too? Yes, I'm having trouble keeping going because, like, most of the time I'm okay with that. Especially when it comes to the food that you choose, I'm okay with it to each their own.
Right.
But like, I know one or two vegans that are cool to sit at a table with you while you're eating a hamburger, and they won't say nothing. They won't get looks on their faces. They won't try to preach to you or anything like that. And there's only one or two of them. Most of the ones that I've encountered, they are not okay with the to each their own. They feel the need to tell you how horrible you are for eating that living thing. And I am the wrong person to say that to. You've seen the meme where they have the packages of the meat and it has the picture of the animal on it. My name was Daisy and I died on this day, and it says, would this dissuade you from eating the food?
This is very that's very PETA.
Yeah, I like our friend Scott's version of PETA. People for the eating of tasty animals. There you go, Scotty.
We're on a completely different.
Anyway. We're
swirling off real well here.
Point being, I think we should discuss this. Again, the gamer thing, the media and the advertising towards gamers. I think you're right in the sense that the advertisers need to know their market there.
Well, yeah, I think honestly, like it may come down to what it seems like to me is a lot of advertisement, especially in media advertisement in general. They don't know their market. They don't understand these people and what they watch and what they're into.
I don't think it's just the gamers though. I think it's also. I think again, it's also this class thing.
Oh yeah,
and
you hit and something.
More important with that, if you think about it, gaming gives a really. You make the investment of buying a video game system.
Yeah.
You make the investment of buying the games or streaming the games or, what is it, Steam, where you can play the games for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
It's like almost like a rental.
It's like a membership rental
service.
kind of a thing. Yeah.
Okay, you get the ability to do that. This is replacing, in some ways, the ability to afford to go places and do things that have become prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
And problematic for people to do. And it's increasing people staying at home and not necessarily interacting, but it's their way of experiencing life and experiencing pleasure and joy.
Yeah.
Possibly due to their ability to afford anything. So
maybe these advertisers should start paying their employees.
Well, everybody should start paying in their employees, but that's a discussion for a different day. I think we've gotten a lot of interesting things happen here today.
Yeah.
Especially for something that was kind of I will admit, was a last minute idea, and good on you, sir. You got something that has some good conversation. Yeah. We'll end this now before it goes too long.
Yeah.
But I think the class thing is something we need to bring up and have a discussion with later. And
I think that's actually a very interesting point. I like that.
Damn Reagan and his changes. Now advertising has done all kinds of weird things. Throwback. All right, sir. So if people are wanting to hear about us, people wanting to listen to us, people want to get to know us, whatever, where are they going to be looking?
Well, here you go, man. You can check us out at the Xennialchronicles.com or Zencron.com. We are streaming there. You also can, we're streaming our podcasts go up there.
Podcasts go up there. They stream from, you can
catch us on
there.
Facebook. You can catch us on Twitter at Xenchron, spelled Xenchron.
If either one of those places, Facebook or Twitter, you leave comments, we will reply back. At least one of us will.
Yes.
If it's snarky and rude, it's probably me. If it's really nice and probably and apologetic, it's our pseudo Canadian Mike.
Pseudo Canadian.
You're more Canadian than I am, sir.
Am I?
Well, at least in your attitude, I'm more built like a Canadian.
Oh, see. Okay.
Yeah, I got the insulation for the cold.
See, there you go. That's okay. We'll just call you Alaska then.
And the extra 10 bits. No, I am not from Alaska. I am not seeing Russia from my front porch. Screw that. Moving on.
All right. But anyways, thanks a lot, you guys. You can catch us if you want to hear us. We are on Spotify. We are on TuneIn. We are on Google Podcast. We are also on YouTube, and our videos also load up to Facebook as well. There are podcasts in video format, so check us out there.
And yeah, we don't get the advertisement from YouTube yet. We don't get that money yet. But
we don't have that big of a fan base. But if you guys have a YouTube account, go ahead and subscribe to us, please.
Yes, subscribe, click the little bell thing so that you get notifications.
Yeah.
And comment on that too. We'll respond on that too.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.